people in as we go, but I am on your stream page. I am going to go over to your week at a glance and open it. I already have a tab open for it. We are on week 13, which means your progress reports are due this week. So if you see any mistakes on Skyward, you need to stay after during conference time and make sure I fix those. Because I can go and resubmit. I think it's till like a certain time in the morning, Wednesday morning. If you notice, our topics, our learning targets are at the top again. It says to describe and explain cycles of matter. So we're kind of coming back to that and coming back to that. And then review edge effects. Specifically on edge effects, I'm going to show you one that's on the bigger topic, which is ecosystem disturbance. There is a separate there's a separate ed puzzle that's on how we apply edge effects. So a lot of students had some misconceptions, or at least some ways of answering their questions that made me question whether they really understood an edge effect. Because although it can give you more biodiversity, that's not typically what we think about when we think about edge effects and when we apply them to deciding on the shape of like a nature preserve or things like that, and deforestation. So just make sure that you do that particular ed puzzle that is specifically on the application of edge effects, but we're going to look at the bigger concept today, which is this notion of ecosystem disturbances. And then, like I said, the third one, as always, is to start looking at these composting systems, but thinking about what's going to go on inside of them. So not just the design and build, but also the living and non-living things that will be in there interacting. So deciding on both those kind of parts to your composting system. So you'll have a build part of this, and then later you'll have how you decide to put in it and what kind of investigative question will you ask about composting. So tasks and assessments are to continue to build your background knowledge on composting systems, to practice your free response question. Just so you know, that's your on-demand day. You have the same year, 2014, but it's question 2. Question 2s are always math. So one of your 3 free response questions each year is always a math or analysis type question where you will have to do some sort of ratio, conversions, whatever term you want to call it, but the ability to change units and apply some math to answering questions. So I gave you question number 2 in 2014 to start practicing that. And then finish your ed puzzles, use your whiteboards and videos to review and reinforce learning targets, which is what we're doing today. How do you know you're being successful? Because you earn a 5 or better on the FRQ. Answer embedded questions in the ed puzzles correctly, 90% or more of the time. Evidence of growth is on your whiteboards, and today it's going to be on something called Pear Deck. And then earn correct responses on 6 of the 7 questions on the Google form quiz. So you do have something new. This is something that I made up on a Google form to see how we're doing on things that can't be easily Googled and found on Quizlet Live, because that drives me crazy. So we're going to make sure we're understanding the concepts. There's 7 questions in there. I tried to make several of them more of the diagram chart interpretation like the College Board is converting to. And that is it. So today we are going to talk about ecosystem disturbances. We are going to look at Pear Deck, but I also would like you ready to switch to whiteboards in case it doesn't work the way I think it's going to work. And Pear Deck is just a Google slide add-on. It's just a way to make it more interactive for you so that maybe in the future your on-demand lessons will be a lesson. So it will feel more connected. And this is kind of a platform that our school paid for that will allow me to do that instead of having kind of different disjointed activities on demand days. And then your composting work time. Let's see. All right, there's 2 rubrics down here. So there's how you actually design your rubric and get it scored. And then there's a long-term how you collaborate and communicate one. We've already talked about this one, but this is a one we're going to get into right before we break into our teams. Before we do that, sorry, there's somebody coming in. All right, so before we do that, we're going to go try this new thing. I like to try new things. I think it is a good, hopefully I'm modeling for you that failure is always an option, but we can always try new things. So if you could join this, it says joinpd.com, and then it says BUDYEG is something you'll need. Now I have no idea what this is necessarily going to look from this perspective, but I want to try it and see how it goes for at least a little bit before we might have to switch back to our normal whiteboards. I've been told by another teacher that has been using this that it doesn't crash on kids. So we'll see. It looks like 7 of you are on there already, so that part's working. 10. So start class when you are ready. Okay, 11. I'm gonna wait till I see about 28 of you. So get on there because I don't know what happens once I start it if you then can't join late. There's Grace, yay! That always makes me so excited. All right, you guys, 14 of you. I need another 14, 16. There we go. And there's Aslan. Good. And Sophia. I've been missing Sophia. I haven't seen her. Very nice. I mean, I know she's been here, but I mean, it's different when I actually see you. All right, 23 of you. We're going to start in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you did not get in, you will have to use the whiteboards. I just left this slide on there. It has nothing to do with your lesson. I'm be deleting all of those slides after I mess around with this program. So you'll notice that it's got everything that it always has. Oops. But what I want to get to is we are on about slide 35 as far as where we left off. So I'm just clicking through to see the stuff I added last night. All right. Right here. It's a new prompt. It's not what I want. It should already have a prompt. Response. Oh, here it is. It looks like it has something on it. Sorry, guys. This is going to take me a while to understand. It says 1 of 25 of you responded. So my understanding with this is you all should be able to type right into the program your responses. And what was nice is basically I've been doing this myself for years, making these little flashcard and interactive. This is a program that will do it automatically for teachers. So we don't have to make boxes and we don't have to do all this stuff. Unfortunately, when I do import it, it shifts everything off a little bit. So I'm going to have to ask our tech people what I can do about that. But I can see that 16 of 25 of you have responded to this. And I kind of want to look at a button on here that says show responses. So just the rest of you respond so I can see what this looks like. Because unlike my whiteboards on my, I can't see both at the same time. So I might see what's happening. Oh, let's see. So this is showing me all of your, what is this? No. It's right here. Cool. So I can scroll through here and see what all of you said. Basically the same as a whiteboard, but it looks like it might be easier to type into it. All right, so I'm going to go back now. Yes, I'm talking to myself. I'm just checking some of this to see how easy it works. All right, here's another one where you're giving me what goes here for primary consumer. And my understanding with this also is that this can be done on demand. So I can run this live with you as a lesson. Oh, I gave you multiple choice, it looks like. Or I can, I don't remember what I did last night, I was tired. Or you can do this asynchronously. please. So you guys could do this. The code is up here at the top right, VUDYEG. I'm on slide 44, but it probably shifted from the original. This is the one off of the week at a glance. This is the exact same thing, but it's been made into something, a Pear Deck. So it's shifted off by one from what we normally do. All right, I see 21 or 25 of you. So when I show responses, yay, this says that most of you are saying B, which is correct. That's good. It also keeps a record of all this. That way I know who's interacting and engaging their brain and who's not. So then this gets into kind of your guys's different cycles and practicing all of those. There's one of them I want to try, that's the draggable. I think I did it here. So what I wanted you to do with this one is put the little flag, drag it wherever you think the reservoir is for carbon. Like, where do we store and keep most carbon? So when we talk about phosphorus, it's in the rocks and the sediment. But in carbon, where is it? So take the flag and you can drag it supposedly to some place in this cycle on this slide of where you think. Is it letting you do that? It says 20 of you have. So I'm just basically experimenting with all of you today a little bit, just a little bit. Yes, it's working. Thank you, Connie. Okay, I want to see what you guys did. I have 21 or 25 of you have dragged it over. Oh, all over the place. So, or else some of you are in the, so it should be, it's live. They should be in the atmosphere somewhere. Okay, so, but this is kind of a cool feature. I like this because then I can see what you guys are thinking and we can also kind of correct that thinking. That's kind of nice. All right. Let's move on. So just a reminder, make sure that you know all the different processes of the nitrogen cycle and what the names of each of these are. Most of you got the word assimilation in your Edpuzzle, but a few of you did not. You described it, but you didn't have the word. So anytime you actually put the nitrogen into your tissues because you were eating something that has nitrogen, that is assimilating it. Same for any element, that word. Anytime you're actually consuming it and then incorporating it into your tissues. All right, I think after that, I didn't add any more. I was just wanting to try it. So we are going to stop with that and go to what we were supposed to do, which was go live. I was just excited to try that. So we are going to go and look at Edpuzzle for a minute and do one part of the learning targets on disturbances and make sure that we understand what happens to an ecosystem if it's disturbed. So it's called Ecosystem Dynamics. It's done by Bozeman, which is also one of my favorites that I think you really should bookmark. He has basically a lesson for every single topic in AP environmental science, but also AP Bio and a bunch of others. I see 3 of 43 of you. So we will look at one of his. What I like about his is not all of them, but most of them have like writing and speaking and flow charts. So kind of a bigger organization to it that you can reference from beginning to end. Madison, I was just playing with a new program and the code will always be in the top right with the Pear Deck.
When you were screen sharing, we couldn't see the code after a while because I think you started sharing a different window or something.
Oh, okay. That's all right. We're going to probably play around with it quite a bit more once I have time to make the Pear Decks. So I got to first figure out though why it's shifting everything once I add it into the program. It shifts all of my text and everything off just enough that it gets off the slide screen. So I'm hoping there's an easy way to not have to redo every single slide. So we will see. Addison, you guys like that? Okay. I like it too. They use it all the time in workshops that I go to. And it's something called Nearpod and Pear Deck, and our school picked Pear Deck. I think Nearpod is quite a bit more expensive. All right, so we have 28 of you. That means I have all of you except for one. We are going to start in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's get started. I will figure out who is missing later. All right, so one of the key concepts, again, edge effects is kind of like a more specific concept applied to how we use some of this knowledge. I really want to make sure you guys have the bigger concept, which is this resistance versus resilience and how ecosystems function. So this is going to talk about that bigger idea.
Hi, it's Paul Anderson, and this is Disciplinary Core Idea LS2C. It's on ecosystem dynamics, functioning, and resilience. And so if we look at something like a coral reef, it's an ecosystem. It's made up of a lot of different organisms, but it's also made up of the non-living materials. So it's like the water, the temperature, the chemistry. And so if you take an ecosystem like a coral reef and we disrupt it, so we add a disruption, so that could be a change in the temperature or the chemistry or introducing a new organism, what you're going to do is you're going to change that ecosystem. And as a result, you might see a change in the organism type. You could see different organism numbers. You could have a reduction or maybe an increase. You could see extinction of species. You could see migration. You could see new organisms coming into the area or organisms leaving. And you could also even see speciation, so the formation of new species. And so disruptions are going to stress an ecosystem. And depending on the health of the ecosystem, it's going to respond.
All right, which of the following can cause a loss in species, a reduction in your population, species extinctions, and species migrations? So it's just doing some defining of terms and concepts. All right, I see 27 of 28 of you. We're going to continue. That was just defining what an ecosystem disruption is. So what I want to make sure that you guys, a lot of you answered that when we have this ecosystem and they overlap, there's this zone in there that might have extra niches. And that's true because you have these niches and this one, and they overlap into an ecotone or this kind of transition zone where you might end up with more biodiversity. But most of the time, this is applied to things like disturbances like clear cuts or what size and shape of nature preserve do you want? And in that case, there's really big differences in whether you have a larger preserve or a smaller preserve and what's going on at that boundary and how bad is the disruption. Okay, it's not always going to be an increase in your niches or your biodiversity.
Respond. And so here's some examples. It could be a fire. A fire is going to go through, it sweeps through a forest, and then life is going to come back after that. But it might not be exactly the same as the life that was there before. Or we could have new rock being formed, so like a lava flow, and then life has to reestablish itself. And so these would be more natural disruptions. Lots of times humans are causing the disruptions. And so pollution is going to force some organisms to die and some organisms to survive. You might have new organisms come into an area as a result just of something that we're doing. Or maybe an invasive species. So we brought a plant here, a Japanese plant called kudzu. It didn't have a natural predator. It just spread across the south. And as a result, it's changing ecosystems wherever it goes.
Right. Which of the following is not an example of an ecosystem disruption? So he just presented several examples of things that could disrupt an ecosystem. And these are kind of what would lead to an edge effect to happen. All right, so 24, 25, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving on, 27, we lost somebody. Yes, winter.
And so organisms are relatively adapted to their environment, but everything is constantly changing. So let me give you an example of that. This is a lynx. A lynx is going to be in the northern forests, and it's evolved to live in a cold kind of a climate. It has these really big feet. It's got quite a bit of fur. In other words, it has all of these adaptations so it can do well. The reason it has such big feet is so it can run on top of the snow. And so what's going to happen to that environment over the next few decades? Well, it's going to change. As we see increases in the temperature, as we see global increases in the temperature, that environment's going to change. What's going to happen to lynx with big feet? Well, it might not be as much of an advantage. And so some of them may die, and maybe some of the ones who have smaller feet might do a little bit better.
All right. What is it called when an organism changes in response to its environment? Now, I don't like that wording. We'll talk about that later in our chapter 5, but there is a word for over time, a group of organisms from one generation to another changing in response to their environment. What is that called? And our next chapter is global climate, and looking at some of these changes that are happening and how well species will adapt. Oops, I just gave it away. Hopefully all you guys had answered, right?
And so that's really what's going on. But the health of an environment is determined based on the number of organisms and the diversity of organisms that you have there. And so this is a human example, a historical example. So in Ireland, about 30% of the people who were living in Ireland in the 1800s were feeding almost entirely on potatoes. Their whole diet was based on potatoes. And what happened was the potato famine. So we had a potato blight, and this happened all across Europe, but it especially targeted people in Ireland who were just feeding only on potatoes. So we had this blight. And so what happened is so many people died. 1 million people died of starvation and disease in Ireland. 1 million of them left. And so if you look at this map over here on the side, each of these dark regions in Ireland shows a decrease in over 30% of the population. And so what was the problem? The major problem is that they had put all of their eggs in one basket. They were just feeding on potatoes. And so when the environment changed, they weren't able to respond. And so in science.
So what caused the population decline in Ireland during the potato famine? And this is also one of the things we'll talk about, the disadvantages of monoculture, right? Having one single type genetically of our crops. Because we already know from these cases that when they're all genetically identical, it only takes one bug to wipe out all of them because there's no diversity. But there's a lot of advantages to watering them, fertilizing them, harvesting them, because they all are going to act the same way for growth. All right, I'm missing 2 of you. There we go.
Science, we tend to call that biodiversity. Biodiversity is going to be the sum total of different individuals you have in an area. And so if we're looking at a rainforest like this, I can see so many species already. And if we compare that to a plantation here, we really only see one species out here. And so which is healthier? Well, the one that's more biodiverse is going to be healthier. And what we mean by healthy is that it's able to respond to disruptions or change.
Right, the more biodiversity that an ecosystem has, the blank that ecosystem will be. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Or changes in its environment.
All right. And one of the kind of applications of this idea is called the intermediate disturbance hypothesis. So make sure you check that term off and have notes on it of what does that mean? What happens when we have very little disturbance too much disturbance or just a certain amount of disturbance in an ecosystem. So there's been a lot of studies and data collected on that. All right, it is time for you to have time with your team and talk about your final sketch designs and choose the person on your team who's going to be your rubric reviewer for your group, the person who is going to go through this compost design rubric with your team, and then decide if you guys have any questions or need to call me to your room to explain any of them and how to earn all your points. So if you haven't put a number in front of your name, you need to do that so I can put you in a room with the right people for your composting project. Second, let me get this created. All right, assigning room 1. I see Haley, Bella, Samantha. You're in room 1. Room 2, Grace, Kendall, Patrick. Room 3, Addison, Connor, Cookie, and Prabjeev. Room 4, I was going to look for 4s, but I only see 1 4. Matt, whoever's in your team needs to get their numbers up there so I can put you in the right spot. I'm going to put Riley and again and Conrad and Devin in that room since they all have theirs up. Room 5, Joseph, Sophia, and Sophie. It looks like Madison. Remember, if you put the number on the front part of your name, then it puts you all together in a row in numerical order. Okay, I think some of you that are number 6 have not put your number on yet, but I will go ahead and open up that room. 6s are with 6s, 6 rooms. Okay, and then we've got Braden and Daniel, room 8, or room 7, I lied. I'm going to put room 9 with 9s, so we're not super confused. And room 10. Okay, I have Hope and Matt. Is there already a group for? Wait, there. That's not okay. I'm gonna open all your rooms. And I'm gonna rearrange a couple of you. All right, Cole, you should be with what other people? Like which people are in your group, and then I'll go put you there. Anika says group 9. So you are in room 9. Oh, you have one of the easy ones. Okay, and Maddie, you are with room 2. Cole, I don't see a 5, so who are you working with, Cole? And then Colin says 14, which is room 7. So Cole, Aiden, and Prabjeet. Okay, let me find Aiden and Prabjeet. They are room 3. Well, no, they're not. Prabjeet. It looks like there's a mix-up there. So I'm going to put you in a whole nother room that doesn't have anybody in it yet and move them out of that other room. There we go. Okay, so let me look. So I have Cookie and Addison together. Is that correct? In room 3. Anybody else with your group? But add Hope and Matt. Okay, I will add Hope and Matt. Let me go find them. There they are. They are in room 10. So let me put them back with you. Which is room 3. Okay. What's
We need Prabjeev in here.
You are missing Prabjeet. Okay, I will go find him. You guys are room 4?
Yeah, we're actually room 8, but slide 4. Yeah.
Room 8, slide 4. Okay, I'll go find Prabjeet.
Yeah, he's here. He's here now.
Okay, so you guys have everybody?
Yeah, Aiden's not here today, so.
Okay, sounds good.
Issues with like the slides moving around.
What's happening? Miss Roberts, can you get Koki and Hope into this room?
No, we're in the breakout room. We just didn't know until just now that you guys had moved to it.
Oh, what the? Okay, okay.
How are you guys
Hi.
doing? Do you guys only have 2 people in your, or somebody absent?
The 2 other people are like never here. It's kind of weird.
Who are your group members?
Anna
Monica
and
and Anna.
Well, Anna's here.
well, I'm there. We have 2 Annas.
Oh, okay. So it's the other Anna.
Yeah.
Anna and who else?
Malia.
Malia. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll have to see what's going on if they already had a prearranged or something because of Thanksgiving. Otherwise, they might become their own separate group. Just let me know how it's
Okay,
going.
thank you.
Okay. How's this group doing? I don't
We're doing pretty good. We're pulling up the rubric right now.
practicing how to share each other's screens. This is a good day for that. You should be able to have the share screen option. My settings on Zoom should allow you to do that. That way you guys can share each other's or talk about different designs. And where are your videos? I can see Periel is having some issues, but Stella and Anika, do you have, what is the video barrier? Can you hear me? There she is, yay! Okay, what about Anika? Anika, are you alive and well? There she is. Okay, there's a forehead. Okay, good. And Periel, you were having issues or not? There we go. Somebody's sharing a screen. Good. All right. And you guys are going to have to just remind me. I forget how it takes time to get into your rooms, to display your screens. I'm just looking at it. Okay, excellent. So who's your rubric reviewer going to be? Stella, are you your team's rubric reviewer?
I thought it was Anika.
It's Anika. Anika, do you confirm that it is you? Okay. And yes, it's her. Okay, so Periel and Estella both have agreed that it's you, Anika. So hopefully you have agreed to that as well. I saw you sharing the screen. She says, yeah, okay, good.
Water comment.
Mm-hmm. My initial sketch was with like a small trash can, and I had again some air holes poked into the side of it, and then just having it mixed in like the 8 puzzles we watched.
The side might not work well, but if we poked holes in the cap, then we could have the air constantly still come in.
Yeah,
that's true. But like most trash cans, like I'm not thinking of those big ones that you would take out to like do like the garbage kind of thing. like when you would go like every Tuesday or Thursday or whenever your garbage truck comes. It's not one of those big ones, just one of those like small office ones. It doesn't really have a lid. So
How's this group doing? Who's your rubric reviewer? I need to hear one of, or I need to see or hear one of two things whenever I come in here for your collaboration and communication grade. I need to hear you all talking or see you all talking with your videos on.
We still don't know yet.
You still don't know who your rubric, and I also like you to practice sharing screens today. So figuring out how to use that share screen feature so that whoever you do choose, you guys can pull up that rubric and I'll share it and discuss it. So I'll wait and see who you guys choose.
I guess I can be the rubric person.
Braden and Colin, are you at your computers?
I'm here.
Look, I'm here. I need to know that you guys are there as well. We are going to be changing some policies after Thanksgiving break. One of which is having your videos on. So, where are you? Do you have technology difficulties? I'm going to mark those as well so I can confirm with parents or get help for you from our tech folks. So Daniel, yes, I know Daniel's good with tech. What about Braden and Colin? How is your tech? It's that good. Colin and Braden, you need to unmute yourself or write something in the chat box. There's multiple ways to communicate. All right, Daniel, if you continue to have problems with Colin and Braden contributing, please let me know because this rubric is based on a teamwork project. I can always move you to another group, but I will not have some way to know if you guys are working together. And this is it, 2 times a week, and it's live sessions. So Braden and Colin, please note I am recording or marking down that I do not see you, I do not hear you, and I do not see any communication and collaboration today. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, welcome back. I'm gonna go switch back to our week at a glance. The right week and a big screen. There we go. Just lost somebody. Let me see who it is. Conrad, so it wasn't on purpose. All right, welcome back. Most of you are back. Right. Put a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you were able to share your screen and pick a rubric reviewer. If you were not able to do one or the other, then put a thumbs down. So if your team was able to pick a rubric reviewer and learned how to and practice sharing your screen, or if your group was not able to, then put a thumbs down. So I see Haley's group, group 11 is good, and groups 4 is good, group 6, 7, and 9, good. All right, what about the other? Oh, I see a yes by group 12. Patrick's group, good. Oh, there's something in my chat going on, sorry. Okay, you did pick a person but haven't practiced sharing your screen. All right. Oh, good, there was like celebration thing. All right, so if you guys could look at your screen and the week at a glance for a moment. It says go live, which is what we did on ecosystem disturbances. That link is actually to a Pear Deck, and that's just exactly like your regular PowerPoint, except for it has features embedded in it instead of having to have a separate whiteboard. And then composting work time. So you were supposed to decide on a rubric reviewer and share your screen. You may or may not have decided because there didn't feel like enough time to actually decide on a team design, which is fine. But hopefully we've at least got started to practice these two things, screen sharing and having someone who's in charge of the rubric and reminding your team how to earn all your points. I'm out of time, surprise, surprise. And so you guys have a great break. I will hang out, and if you have any questions or your grade is not what you want it to be, or you are missing a score that you should have, you need to stay after so we can fix that before Wednesday morning. All right? So you guys stay safe, stay healthy, don't eat too much, wear your sunblock, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't let your parents or your friends drink and drive.
What are we supposed to have done on the composting so far?
You should have today picked a rubric reviewer. Oh, you should just have your rough sketches and your ideas done. That's it. And decided, and today looked at the rubric.
So we don't have to have a question or final design picked?
No, there wasn't enough time. I don't think that would be fair. Because I didn't feel like you guys had much of a chance to actually pick features that you like and decide on something that everybody in your group can do. But we'll do it after break.
So our group had a few questions. The first one was, we're concerned that like the compost will smell. I don't know if that's like a concern that other students have had in the past if they did it at home, but so we're wondering, since it's cold outside and compost has to be warm, like what should we do?
Usually it can create its own heat if you do it correctly and do hot composting and keep it in like a garage. It only smells if you guys make it anaerobic. So it only starts to smell if you put too much water in it, and then the bacteria that need air die and it starts to do anaerobic decomposition.
Interesting.
Okay, so
we just don't put water?
You'd have to put the right amount of water.
So like how much is the right amount?
That's what you guys are figuring out. This is all you.
Oh, well, time to Google. And then last question, do we put our sketches into the shared document, or did we just have to submit them through Google Classroom?
Yeah, no, they go in the shared document. It'll be a big, giant, messy thing by the time we're done with it, but that's okay.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Bye, you too.
Bye.
Right, I saw a question from one of you. Probably you've already said it. It said, yes, you're going to work on it today. Yeah, just email me when you have stuff done. And if I have a chance, I will go check it and update your grade.
My group had 2 questions.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the first is we came up with a question and we were wondering if it's good. We were wondering how much mass is reduced from the original composting of green and brown materials by the end of project's end. We were wondering if that was a good question or.
Oh, from start to finish? Like
Yeah.
you're going to start with a massive amount? We've never tried that. That sounds interesting. I like that. Do you guys have a way to measure your weight or your mass?
Yeah, we have scales.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
as long as you start fairly big, probably. The only concern I would have is that when you are done and you have a smaller amount, that between all of you, you'll have enough to use as fertilizer for your next project. So
Yeah, we're gonna try to get it so we have a few kilos of green and brown material.
okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, and we're also wondering, because I searched it up and we don't need worms. Worms really just accelerate the process, but still, is there a substitute for worms rather?
There's hot composting, which uses just bacteria, naturally occurring bacteria.
Okay, so we can use hot composting where the bacteria just creates its own heat.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll tell my group.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Hello, Samantha.
So, I just noticed, I know this is kind of from a long time ago, but I just now noticed this like 2 days ago that I have a 50% on the Candium lab, and I was wondering like why that is, and if there's a way I can fix that.
I don't know. Did you go back and look at whatever comment I wrote on it?
I did not.
So I would go see what the deal is with that, and if you like did it a day late or something, then just email me that it's there. A half credit usually means when I check it on Sunday, it's not there, and I put in a half credit instead of the 0.
Okay, I'll go check right now.
Okay.